Israel is claiming that Hezbollah is preparing attacks on the northern communities inside of occupied Palestine very soon. This was published in the Israeli media, and Israel is saying that it's gonna be imminent, almost imminent, that Hezbollah are going to attack us again. Why is that? What happened all of a sudden? It's Israel that's breaching the ceasefire in Lebanon constantly, like they are with Gaza. Thousands of breaches, people getting killed regularly, and the Lebanese side was respecting the ceasefire agreement because they didn't want to get dragged into an all-out war, and they knew Benjamin Netanyahu's calculations. Israel is, however, saying that because recently Hezbollah made some interesting statements, and they also sent a letter to the three most prominent political figures in Lebanon about their vision and their intention and their views on the reported negotiations. There are reports about a second round of negotiations with the American administration to try and reach a deal. And in that letter, Hezbollah said, we outright reject any new negotiations, and we have the right to resist. You can forget about disarmament so long as it includes foreign enforcement and for being for the will of a foreign entity. Anything to do with weapons, something that's dealt with internally. However, they also added that the threat that's coming here from Israel and from the United States, that isn't just a threat against Hezbollah, that's a threat against the whole country of Lebanon, something that some people still appear to not understand very well. And they're saying that they are looking to have a strong position, and they need to confront the Israelis, and they want the whole country to be united in that confrontation. They said that defending Lebanon is not a decision of war or peace, but a legitimate right and a national duty in the face of an enemy that imposes war and continues aggression. Pledged to remain with Lebanon for the sovereignty of Lebanon and the national dignity of Lebanon. They will not be wavering nor retreating as long as there is occupation on the land, and the resistance is continuing and knows no defeat. So we're having a slight escalation here. When is that coming? That's coming after the Lebanese president himself said that we need to confront Israel to stop their aggression. So they're feeling that there's a momentum going on here between the Lebanese resistance and also the Lebanese state, and they're testing the waters. Firstly, they're saying no negotiations. Why? Because, well, we saw what the negotiations bring. The negotiations bring Tom Barak saying that Hezbollah is an enemy and that we need to cut their head off. And if Lebanon doesn't do that, then we're going to send Israel to do that. And that's the language that the arrogant American administration speaks with other countries in the region. They look down on them. They don't view them as human beings anyway. So from Hezbollah's perspective, they're saying that we're not going to talk with them. But what they're trying to do now is bring the government more towards the side of the Lebanese resistance by telling them the obvious, stating the obvious. Look, we adhere to the ceasefire agreement. Look, we didn't attack Israel for the past year. Look, we did not breach anything that we agreed upon with the American side and the mediators, including France. Yet, despite all of that, you have a country that's constantly attacking us 24/7 and also killing Lebanese people, innocent Lebanese civilians. We're not going to submit. We're not going to give up our weapons. That's not going to come as an enforcement from a neo-colonialist country abroad for the sake of Israel. Not going to happen. However, we showed that we can have an agreement and go ahead with it. What are you doing? Do you want to take responsibility in defending the country? And are you giving us a mandate to carry out deterrence attacks against Israel? This is the underlying tone of this. And most likely there have been some talks that weren't published between the two about that matter. Because if the president himself of Lebanon, who's very close to the United States, who made statements in relation to the Lebanese resistance that were out of order, now switching the tone slightly, is he going to reach to that stage where he will back the right of the Lebanese resistance to conduct attacks against Israel? In effect, from the recent statements that were made by the Lebanese president, he is paving the way towards that response. Why? Because if he ordered the Lebanese army to confront Israel and prevent Israel from continuing with their aggressions against Lebanon, then that is a de facto legitimization that can be translated to a legitimization. I mean, the whole situation is bizarre and absurd. You know, any country that doesn't have the right capability and capacity to confront an occupying entity of terror next to it, going against the only armed group that can pose a threat to it in the form of Hezbollah, Lebanon will be destroyed without Hezbollah. They're the only deterrence from Israel occupying all of Lebanon, by the way. And now they are making more of an effort to highlight the fact that the Israelis understand nothing but that language, and we need to come up with a certain operation, or at least have the right to respond to constant Israeli aggressions within agreed upon limits from the beginning, so that it can end up expelling Israel from South Lebanon and stopping the Israeli breaches altogether.